Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about how I have developed my use of technology in the classroom. Now, I've been doing this role as an EdTech practitioner now for 3 months, and if I reflect on my teaching and learning before I undertook this role, I very rarely use technology in the classroom. So these are the steps that I have taken in the very short 3 months to develop my teaching and learning using technology. So what I've been trying to do is to ensure that I'm integrating technology into every stage of my teaching and learning journey. So the first part is I was looking at how I could use technology for students to gain knowledge before the lesson itself. So what I've used for that is Google Podcasts. Now, what I have found is that the podcasts, which are 5, 6, 7 minutes long, are really effective in ensuring that the students get that base knowledge. Anything longer can get a little bit confusing. So what I need to do is make sure that I come back to my objective, which is for students to gain a base knowledge. And the reason for that is to ensure that students are able to engage in the inquiry-led learning as soon as they walk in the classroom. They're able to ask questions. They're able to inquire. Now, this works extremely well at Cholney because in our geography department, because our objective is to ensure students gain an inquiring mind and a geographical eye. And this is a format which allows students to gain that. I've also found it is a very effective piece of homework because it has a clear purpose. And it's a strategy which is very current. Students will be listening to podcasts in their own time of things of interest. So this is something which they can definitely relate to. In order to access the Google Podcasts, you need to go to your Google page. You need to click on your Google G Suite, which is in the top right-hand corner, and then scroll down to find Google Podcasts. Once you've found a podcast that you want to copy and paste to your classroom, you click on the podcast. Let's say we want to go for this one, for example. Right-click, and then copy the link address. And you can then copy that link address to the Google Classroom or any other format which your students can access. Okay, so once students are actually in the classroom, my objective is to ensure that we are reflecting on past learning. And the way I do that is I use something called Retrieval Roulette. Now, the teacher will create a handful of questions before the lesson, and the system will randomly allocate 5 questions, which the students will have to answer in their books. Now, this is a very good piece of technology because it gives teachers the opportunity to address any misconceptions. There is clear routine, so students will know exactly what to expect when entering the classroom, and it sets a very positive tone to the lesson, especially in the current climate. And it ensures that learning is continually revisited and students are mastering their memory. So for Retrieval Roulette, once you have clicked on the link, you'll be sent to an Excel spreadsheet that looks a bit like this. Now, obviously, the one that I'm showing you is my version, which is full of questions. The reason I've chosen to do that is just so you know what it will look like. So what I have done here is I have written a bunch of questions all to do with one particular topic, which is urban challenges in Rio. I've done 50 questions on urban challenges in Rio. I've typed them in that box. Now, what you can do, it's very difficult with geography, so I've not done it here, is you can type in the answer as well. So when you do come to testing, the students will be able to see the answer rather than you having to go through it. So there's that option as well. Now, what I've done is I've done 50 questions on Rio, and then I've done 50 questions on biomes and so on, so that you can put a variety of topics onto this one sheet. So they are the questions which will be chosen from for the multiple choice. Now, once you are ready to do the testing, you will click on the Do Now button at the bottom of the screen. And this will show you a page about the questions which will come up. They would have been randomly allocated. Now, as you can see, it says up to question, and I put 50. Now, the reason I've done that is because I only want questions to come up that are to do with urban challenges in Rio. You can also change that figure to have more than 5 questions if you would like. Now, as stated before, if you want to type in the answers as well, you can click on the Do Now Answers at the bottom, and then that would give you all the answers for those 5 questions so students can do individual marking. Now, if you wanted to do questions from 51 to 100, you would need to click on this next tab, which is the other Do Now one, and then you have the option of changing which questions can come up. So if I want to do it on biomes, I could put from question 51 to question 100, and it's the same routine. It's a very good starter activity to go over past knowledge and do some formative assessment. Once the students have given in their scores out of 5, I put them into an Excel league table, as you can see on this slide. Now, students will be given a random fixture with someone else in the class. If they win that game, they get 3 points. If they draw, they get 1 point. If they lose, they get no points. Now, the purpose of this is to instill competition. We want students to be demanding more of themselves to ensure that they are reaching the high expectations we set as the teacher. And this provides a clear incentive for students to look over learning from the previous lesson. Now, once you have undertaken some form of formative assessment, you can then input the scores into this Excel spreadsheet. Now, the first thing you need to do before you start putting any scores in is once you've clicked on the document, you need to type in all of the students' names that are in your class in the yellow boxes. Now, once you've done that and you want to input your first round of scores, you need to click on the tab at the bottom that says Games, and then you can type in your scores for each student. So the way I do it is I use my Retrieval Roulette questions out of 5, and I put the student's score into there. You need to make sure you put all the scores in. Now, the one thing that you need to remember for this particular strategy is that you need 32 names in order to do the game. So what you do need to do is, if you've got less than 32 students in your class, which you will do, you just need to put something in the bottom just to make sure the system works. And once you put all the scores in, you need to press Return to League. And this is my league table to date. Now, when you want to input the new scores into the league table, all you need to do is press Update League. Now, when you press Update League, it will put those new scores into the table. If you go back to Matches, it will tell you which students were randomly assigned fixtures. So, for example, we have up here, this student got 5 out of 5 on the test. This student got 2 out of 5, and they were given a random fixture against each other. The person with the most points would get 3 points, and that will be added to the league table. You also can see that there is goal difference that's taken into account here. So both feature within the league table. Now, once we're actually getting into the content, I use a Jamboard to encourage curiosity and free thinking. So what you can see on the right-hand side is a Jamboard where I have delivered an inquiry-led question. And you will see the answers the students have given. Now, this is a very good platform to do this because it enables every student to get involved. And it provides students with a much broader range of knowledge. And on the left-hand side, there is a Jamboard which students have created in order to deliver a presentation. So again, you can see this is a very effective piece of flipped learning. It allows students to unleash their creativity. In order to access the Jamboards, you once again need to go to the Google homepage and click on the Google G Suite in the top right-hand corner. You then need to scroll down to Jamboards. In order to create a new Jamboard, you go to the bottom right-hand corner and click on the New Jam button. And this will take you to a brand new Jamboard for you and your class to create. Now, just a quick pointer, you cannot do any more than 20 slides. So if you wanted to do some whole class learning, just know that there are only 20 slides. So if you had more than 20 students, you might have to do pair work rather than individual work. Now, there are quite a few features to the Jamboard, and they are very straightforward for both teacher and student to learn, but I'll just quickly run through a few of those with you. Now, one you can do is using a pen. Okay, but it doesn't look particularly neat. I don't use it myself that much. You can then also have the eraser, obviously to get rid of any work that you are not happy with. You then also have the sticky notes, which I use quite a lot. And those sticky notes can be, you can change color. They can be made bigger or smaller by clicking on the corner, and you can move them about like so. You can also add images. You can do this either by uploading them directly from your files, or you could go on Google Images and find one yourself. And in order to add them to the Jamboard, you would just click on the image and then press Insert. You can also add a text box if you wanted to add some further writing, but once again, I usually stick to the sticky notes because it looks much better. Now, in order to share this with your class, you need to go to the top right-hand corner and press Share. And this is directly linked to your Google Classroom. So all your classes will already be there. So let's say I'm going to allocate it to my Year 8 class. And then I can add a message for them to have a look at when they open the document, so they know exactly what the purpose is. And then you just press send. That would go directly to their email address. They then click on the link and they have access to the Jamboard ready for the lesson. The next part of the learning journey is to apply that learning. And I do that doing debates. Now, in class, they can sometimes be a bit exclusive, where you have maybe 9 or 10 students that are fully engaged and participating in the debate, but then there is a handful who are not contributing through to stuff like a lack of confidence. So the Google Classroom debate is effective because it is accessible to all. It enables students to have the time to think through what they want to contribute, and it allows them to gain that broader idea. It also encourages them to justify their reasoning, which enables them to have a much more informed decision. So it's an effective piece of peer learning, and it is very, very important for any evaluation style questions. Now, what I have found is that students can be very good at justifying the argument which they believe in, but they struggle with this argument which they don't. So this enables them to gain a much more holistic outlook. For Google Classroom debates, you will first need to click on your class in which you want to do the debate with. You would then click on classwork at the top and you would press create. And then you'd scroll down to question. Now, whatever the question is for the debate, you would write in this section at the top, and you need to make sure that you have short answer clicked on. You can add any instructions if you would like. And you need to also make sure that students can reply to each other is ticked to make sure the debate has plenty of discussion. You can then go to the top, you can schedule it for a particular time, or you can just press ask. Another way to apply the learning is through capturing it using iPads. This brings the learning to life, and it enables for cross-curricular link and ensures there is a much more positive and non-judgmental learning environment. So as you can see in the picture on the right, this was an exercise I did for my Year 10s where we created freeze frames and the learning was captured on the iPad. Once the learning has taken place, we need to assess it. And a good tool to assess it would be the quizzes. Now, quizzes is very effective because it is brilliant for all stakeholders. So if we were going to look at the students, it's very enjoyable, it's very engaging, it gives them clear feedback. If you look at the teachers, it shows as a class where the areas of weakness are, as well as an individual breakdown. And also you have the option of actually emailing parents how students have got on. So this is a very effective form of low stakes assessment. So in order to carry out some formative assessment, I'm going to use quizzes. Now you have the option. You can either search for the quizzes which you can attach to the Google Classroom, which obviously saves you a lot of time. But if you want to have one which is really specific to what you've been teaching, you would need to create a quiz. So let's say that I'm going to create a quiz on the almighty dollar, which I'm currently doing my year 7s. Now, the advantages of quizzes is that it gives you a variety of question types. So if we were going to compare it to one such as Kahoot, they're mainly just multiple choice questions. If you wanted to do any questions which involve fill in the blank, you'd have to pay for the premium. But this is all free. You get all of these options for asking questions. So you've got multiple choice. You've got checkbox, where you can ask a question which would have more than one answer, and they have to tick all of the boxes that they believe are correct. You then can have in fill in the blanks, and you can also do a few other areas as well. Now, once the learning has taken place in the lesson, we need to look at how we're going to review it later on. Now, what I do is every few weeks, I'll do a short video which summarizes the learning that has taken place. Now, this is effective because it breaks down the content and it provides a piece of material which students can refer back to at a later date if there is any areas they do not understand. And finally, we need to look at the revision. And I've been trying to think of ways to make revision much more visual and much more project-based, so it is more enjoyable and more engaging for the students. And a format I've been using is Google Sites. Now, I found Google Sites effective because there's clear chunking of the content, and it makes it much more visual. And as you can see, there is clear cross-curricular links. You can access Google Sites by once again going on your Google G Suite, scrolling down to Google Sites, and you will then see the variety of options you have in order to create a site. Like I said, this is project-based. It makes revision a lot more enjoyable, and it allows them to chunk it. So what you can do is you can have different pages for different areas of learning. Identification there, and then you could have a different page with social challenges. You can make those pages look nice and pretty, well presented, well structured, all the necessary information there for you to revise with.